When looking at multiplication and division of two numbers, multiplication can be represented as this particular symbol here, or sometimes we can have the parentheses where we have a number, another number, or we have a dot between two numbers. However, for division, we have these to be written as the dot dot with a line between, or you can have a number over a number, and finally here we can have a number slash a number. And so these representations of both multiplication and division of two numbers in this video highlights the following, where the two numbers we can either have the following to be positive integers, or we have negative integers, or a mixture of both a positive and negative integers. And finally, this not only applies to integers but also applies to any form of numbers that we have on a number line. In this case, we are saying real numbers. And so these are the things to keep in mind, which includes the following. Now we're going to look at examples of multiplication and division of positive alongside negative integers or numbers. Specifically, we'll be looking at integers, and we're going to derive rules that applies based on the integers that you are playing around with. And in here are as follows. For example, for multiplication, we have 3 parentheses 6. This here is the same thing as positive 3 times positive 6, and what we recognize is that a positive integer or number times a positive number gives you a positive result, and 3 times 6 gives you 18. And we're going to do now for division, where we have 6 over 3, which is the same thing as 6, which is a positive value, divided by positive 3. That means positive divided by positive gives you a positive value, and 6 divided by 3 gives you 2. Therefore, our rule here is when you're multiplying positive integers or values, we arrive at a positive value. Likewise, when I divide a positive value by a positive value, that also gives me a positive result. Next example here is negative 3 parentheses negative 6. That means that we're multiplying negative 3 by negative 6, which means a negative times a negative gives you a positive, and 3 times 6 gives you 18. Likewise, on the other hand, when it comes to division, we have negative 6 divided by negative 3, which means negative divided by negative gives you a positive value, and 6 divided by 3 gives you 2. Therefore, in conclusion, what we have for multiplication of negative values means that you always get a positive value. Likewise, dividing a negative by a negative, that gives you also a positive value. In conclusion, what we can create here is that same signs, we get a positive value. Next example involves 3 parentheses negative 6. This means that we're multiplying a positive value of 3 by a negative 6, and that gives us positive times negative gives you a negative, and 3 times 6 gives you 18. And on the other side here for division, this here is equal to a positive value of 6 divided by negative 3. That means our positive divided by negative gives you a negative, and 6 divided by 3 gives you 2. Therefore, in conclusion, for multiplication, a positive times a negative value gives you a negative value. Likewise, for our division, a positive value divided by a negative value gives you a negative value. And looking at this for the other case here, negative 3 multiplied by 6 is equal to negative 3 times positive 6, which gives us negative times positive gives you a negative. 3 times 6 gives you 18. And on the other side for division, we have our negative 6 divided by positive 3, which means that our negative divided by our positive gives you a negative value, and 6 divided by 3 gives you 2. Therefore, our multiplication of our negative value by a positive value gives you a negative result. Likewise, for our division of a negative value by a positive value gives you a negative value. Therefore, in conclusion, multiplying two opposite signs alongside dividing two opposite signs gives you a negative result. So, I hope you found this really informative in terms of the rules that applies to positive and negative integers based on multiplication and division.